I know it sounds weird, but I think that is the reality of many creatives out there. You put so much pressure on yourself that you forget why you were doing this or starting this in the first place. And that's something we absolutely have to be aware of. In this video, I'll share 5 different pressure or stress triggers that I've experienced myself. It goes from beginner level to intermediate to advanced level, if you will. And number 4 hit me the hardest by far. It almost led to me quitting photography altogether because I was not connected to my why, the real reason why I'm doing what I'm doing with my camera. So let's get started with pressure or stress point number 1. I think this is mostly for beginners, and that is gear. Gear doesn't matter in this day and age, in particular, where camera brands, they pump out new exciting gear. They trick you into thinking that you need to create all these awesome images that you want to create or make the videos that you want to create. And of course, YouTubers does not help with this because everyone gets sponsored, everyone has the newest, the latest and greatest gear. So it's easy to think as a beginner that you need all this fancy gear to get started. And that is not the case. Now that I'm slowly getting back into my street photography, I've been out on a few occasions just with my phone. When I get into that zone, that awesome place of being in the moment, trying to capture these everyday moments of interestingness, I've just found that I enjoy it so much more. And speaking about gear, I do have a lot of gear, and now that I'm getting back into photography, I'll have a very thorough review of all my gear, all my lenses and everything that I own that has to do with a camera. Because when you have a lot of gear, that's just another obstacle to actually go out in the field and make awesome content, because you ponder, what gear should I use? What lens should I use? What camera should I use? Etc, etc. And I've been there. I've been falling into this trap many times. If you've been following the channel, you know that I've had oh so many camera brands to play around with, which is cool. I like gear, but for different reasons now, as opposed to when I was a beginner. If you're into photography or filmmaking, you can start with just your phone. There's no excuse for you not to start just because you don't have all that fancy schwancy gear. As a solution to this gear stress factor or a trigger, I would say oversimplify. Go out with what you have. Your phone is awesome, and just stop watching YouTube videos about gear altogether. They do not help you, and they will give you this idea subconsciously that you need all this great gear to take the photos that these creators make. The example of when I went out yesterday and I shot some really cool photos. At least I thought they were really cool, and that gave me back this feeling of just enjoying the process. So oversimplify. If you don't know, you don't know. You know you want to do something, you know you want to do street photography, but you don't know where to start. So if you're new to street photography or any other type of content creation, your mind is like a blank canvas. You don't know what to expect, you don't know what you don't know. You go out, you explore, and you have fun with the process. When you have experience, like I have, and when you have had a long break, that's always in the back of your head. You pressure yourself a little bit to thinking that you have to produce great content, and that's not the way to go about it either if you're an intermediate or an advanced street photographer or content creator. Either way, if you are a beginner or very experienced in whatever type of content creation you do, you have to start. You have to just go out and do the things that you want to do, go through the motion, and that good feeling of enjoying the process will follow. The third stress or pressure trigger, I would say, is the social media pressure. Likes and comments seems to be the creative currency, and I get it. If you're living off of this, it's very important to have that traction. But if you are a complete beginner, chances are your work will suck in the beginning. Don't let this be an indicator of your work's worth. If you're just starting out, do not post anything on social media, because it can impact your desire to go out and enjoy the process. If you don't get the likes that you thought or something like that, and it just ruins everything, and you won't get any better, and you will doubt yourself, and not create anything. If you want to learn something, learn to enjoy the process and do not care about the likes and comments. I would say the solution to this social media pressure of getting likes and comments is to not post anything, especially if you're a photographer. Focus on the process instead. I stopped posting on Instagram not because I didn't have anything to post. I have a huge bank of images from our year of travel that we just got back from. But posting on this platform creates a form of anticipation and expectation in a weird way. So I get nothing from that, to be quite honest with you, and I'd rather work on curating and creating good themed albums for my webpage instead of focusing on getting likes and comments and traction on my Instagram. So this is something I'm working on. I think I want to get back on Instagram, but just create more like experimental content in my street photography rather than just show off pictures, because let's be honest, Instagram is not a photo sharing app anymore. I know that's old news. Just posting images, unless you have a huge following, you won't get that much traction. And I think it's much better to create your own webpage with curated albums showcasing your very best work instead of on Instagram. Of course, you can have that as a supplement, but that's just my opinion. Number 4, this has been the biggest one for me: imposter syndrome and overthinking everything. So these pressure triggers comes with experience, I guess you can say. And it's very important to have these in mind when you see the signs that they might occur, because they are not fun and it will take some time for you to get rid of them if they've infested your mind for long enough. Imposter syndrome boiled down is you thinking that you're a fraud in whatever it is that you do. It doesn't have to be creativity. It can be anything, your job or whatever it is. You set your standards way too high. You have this unrealistic form of perfectionism. So whatever you do, it's never good enough. It's not a great place to be. And I was constantly thinking about photography. It was photography this, photography that. Wherever we went, I was just thinking about photography, even if I didn't have my camera. We just came back from a year of travel, and that was the story of our first 6 months of this journey. I was on all the time thinking about photography, so I didn't enjoy my travel as much as I should have. I should have had taken breaks, since it was me and my girlfriend doing our this epic year of adventure. And of course I was enjoying myself, since we were in Africa for the first 6 months. We love it there, and it's a natural thing for me to do a lot of photography, but it was too much. I had to take a long break. And I've done breaks before from photography, but I was also then constantly thinking about going out. I felt that I had to go out, and this break was different because I took enough time off to disconnect myself, or this thought, from thinking that I had to do photography, and I just, okay, fine, I don't have to do anything anymore. And that eventually led to me reconnecting with enjoying photography again and wanting to do photography. So I got back to the why of me doing this creative, or going on this creative journey. And that was a very good discovery for me. Now I know that, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I want to do. And I enjoy the process. So please be aware of this yourself. If you are constantly thinking about pressuring yourself to make the content or do photography, or you have these constant thoughts that you have to make something, be aware of that. It's a big red flag, and you should definitely step back, take a break, and rethink why you are doing it. Because when you have these thoughts, it's not enjoyable anymore, and you forget why you were doing this in the first place. Coming back to the core of my why I'm doing street photography and making these videos on YouTube has just been amazing. Taking that time off to disconnect from everything, now coming back with this enthusiasm of going out, simplifying my gear, and just not overthinking everything, and not always thinking about photography, going out with friends. And I know it sounds weird, but I think that is the reality of many creatives out there. You put so much pressure on yourself that you forget why you were doing this or starting this in the first place. And that's something we absolutely have to be aware of for our own mental health, I guess, because this is something we should really enjoy. Enjoy this creative process, not overthink it all the time. I think of this as something I do as a job. That's also something to be aware of when you transition from a hobby over to a job. You need to have that balance in your life anyway. So there you go. Now, the last pressure or stress trigger is systems, folders and structures in Lightroom, and how to export, how to store my images and all that stuff. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I have a good enough system now that I'd be happy to share in a future video. Let me know if you want to see that video right there in the comments. That would be awesome. And it's good enough. I can edit my photos, edit my videos. I have a systematic-ish structure to it. There's no such thing as 100% perfect, especially in creativity. If you overthink anything, you're bound to fail. At least that's my very humbling experience over the past year, when I've sat down and had a good round with myself, thinking, okay, should I even continue photography? And I had a really hard time realizing that maybe I'll quit photography because it was just so stressful. But here we are. I pulled through and now I'm really loving it again, and that's awesome. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that sometimes you have to put down your camera, put down your thoughts and ideas on everything that you want to achieve and do creatively, just to have that little break, reset your brain a little bit, and come back and enjoy the process more. Okay, that's a long rant right there. I hope this was somewhat helpful. I thought, since I'm thinking about these things, there must be other creatives out there that are thinking about the same things. And here I am in my new studio, and I cannot wait to make more content for you right from here, back home in Oslo, Norway, after 1 year of travel. Feels great to be back, both in Oslo and back to doing street photography. That's my everyday adventure. All right, that's it for now. See you in the next video. Bye bye. Whoa, whoa, whoa.